Welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe for inspiring stories every day. The rain poured relentlessly, soaking Sarah as she stood outside the apartment building that no longer felt like home. Her suitcase, a battered relic of hastily packed belongings, sat beside her on the drenched pavement. Inside the warm, dry walls she had just left behind, Michael was likely patting himself on the back for how quickly he had rid himself of her, and a life growing inside her. His last words echoed in her mind. Asterisk, you made your choice, Sarah. I'm not going to ruin my life because you refuse to let go of a mistake. Asterisk. A mistake? She glanced down at her still flat stomach, her trembling hand instinctively moving to shield it. This was no mistake. It was her child, their child. But Michael couldn't see past his own ambitions. The high-powered job, the sleek sports car, the luxurious dinners that screamed success to the world. A baby simply didn't fit into his picture-perfect plans. Lightning split the darkened sky, illuminating her tear-streaked face as the weight of her situation hit her like a tidal wave. She had nowhere to go. Her family had disowned her years ago when she chose to move in with Michael, believing his promises of stability and happiness. Her friends had slowly drifted away, caught up in their own lives. Now she was utterly alone. Fumbling with her phone, her cold fingers managed to dial the only number that came to mind. An old acquaintance who might still care enough to help. After several rings, a groggy and irritated voice answered. "Hello. Kate, it's me, Sarah," she said, her voice barely rising above the pounding rain. "I need a place to stay." Kate's apartment was small, cluttered, and carried the faint smell of takeout and cigarettes, but to Sarah, it was a sanctuary. Sitting on a threadbare couch with a mug of warm tea in her hands, she felt a shred of comfort as Kate looked at her, equal parts sympathetic and exasperated. "So, he kicked you out?" Kate asked bluntly, lighting a cigarette. Sarah nodded, unable to meet her friend's gaze. "He said I was ruining his life." Kate snorted. "Sounds like the Michael I remember, always so full of himself. What are you going to do now?" "I don't know," Sarah admitted, her voice cracking. "I don't have a job. I don't have any savings. Her hand moved instinctively to her stomach. "I just know I can't give up on this baby." Kate took a long drag of her cigarette, her expression softening. "Look, I've got a pull-out bed. You can stay here for a bit. But you need a plan, Sarah. You can't just sit around waiting for things to fix themselves." Sarah nodded, a new resolve forming in her heart. Kate was right. She couldn't let this be the end of her story. She had a child to think about now, and that child deserved a mother who wouldn't give up. The following weeks were a whirlwind of exhaustion and small victories. Sarah took on any work she could find. Cleaning houses, waiting tables, even handing out flyers on street corners. Every dollar she earned was carefully saved, and every spare moment was dedicated to researching ways to improve her situation. One late night, sitting in Kate's dimly lit kitchen, Sarah stumbled upon a blog post about women entrepreneurs who had built businesses from scratch. Among the stories, one stood out. A single mother who had started selling handmade jewelry online and turned her passion into a flourishing business. A spark ignited in Sarah. She had always loved creating things, spending countless hours as a teenager crafting intricate designs with beads and wire. Could she do the same? Could she turn her love for crafting into something real? The very next morning, she used a portion of her modest savings to buy supplies, a small but hopeful investment in her future. At first, her creations were simple, but as her confidence grew, so did her designs. She photographed her pieces, created an online shop, and with a trembling hand, hit publish on her first listings. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah poured all her energy into her fledgling business. Orders were slow at first, but the glowing reviews from her early customers gave her a glimmer of hope. Then, one day, her life changed. A fashion influencer with thousands of followers discovered Sarah's shop and posted a picture wearing one of her necklaces. Within hours, Sarah's inbox was flooded with messages, and her inventory was nearly sold out. For the first time in months, Sarah allowed herself to dream of a better future. As her business expanded, so did her confidence. She rented a small workspace and hired a part-time assistant to manage the growing orders. Sarah even began reaching out to other single mothers, offering them flexible jobs to help support their families. What had started as a small idea had grown into something far greater than she could have ever imagined. One late evening, as Sarah sat at her desk reviewing designs for her next collection, her phone buzzed. It was an email from a major retailer expressing interest in carrying her jewelry line. Tears streamed down her face as she read the message. Every struggle, every sleepless night had brought her to this moment. But Sarah wasn't just building a business, she was building a life. A life filled with purpose, one she could be proud of, and one that would provide her child with the love and stability they deserved. Placing her hand on her now rounded belly, she whispered, "We're going to be okay." In the years that followed, Sarah's jewelry business, Radiant Designs, became a phenomenon. What began as a desperate attempt to survive had transformed into a thriving success story. Her designs weren't just accessories, they told the story of resilience and empowerment, a narrative that deeply resonated with her customers. Major magazines hailed her as the face of modern entrepreneurship, and her brand expanded into high-end stores and exclusive collections. Her personal life flourished alongside her professional success. Becoming a mother had awakened a strength within her she never knew existed. Her son Liam became her guiding light. Watching him grow and thrive gave her purpose, a reason to persevere even on the hardest days. Together, they'd formed a small but unbreakable family built on love, trust, and unwavering devotion. One crisp autumn morning, Sarah found herself rushing to a charity event where she had been invited to speak. The ballroom buzzed with anticipation, filled with high-profile guests eager to hear her story. Backstage, Sarah adjusted her microphone, smoothing her tailored suit as she mentally rehearsed her speech. "You've got this," she whispered to herself. As she stepped onto the stage, a wave of applause greeted her. Under the bright lights, Sarah shared her journey with raw honesty and vulnerability. She spoke of the nights spent crying on Kate's couch, the countless rejections from buyers who dismissed her vision, and the moments of self-doubt that nearly broke her. But she also celebrated her triumphs. The day her first collection sold out, the partnerships that elevated her brand, and the joy of building a company that created opportunities for others. Her story of perseverance and determination left the audience captivated. After the event, as Sarah mingled with the crowd, a man approached her. He was tall and strikingly handsome, exuding an air of confidence that was warm rather than intimidating. "Sarah Turner?" he asked, extending his hand. "I'm Alex Reed." Sarah blinked in surprise. Even with her busy life, she couldn't ignore the fact that Alex Reed was one of Hollywood's most acclaimed actors, a name synonymous with talent and philanthropy. "I just wanted to say your speech was incredible," Alex said. "Your story is inspiring, to say the least." Sarah smiled, feeling a spark of something she hadn't felt in years. "Thank you, Alex. That means a lot." What started as a polite conversation quickly grew into something deeper. Over the following months, Sarah and Alex developed a close bond. Alex, who had risen to fame from humble beginnings, admired Sarah's grit and independence. For Sarah, Alex's kindness and steady support healed wounds left by Michael's betrayal. One quiet evening, after tucking Liam into bed, Sarah found Alex waiting for her in the living room. The soft glow of the fireplace lit his thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking," Alex began, his voice steady, "about us. About what we've built together." Sarah tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What's on your mind?" Alex reached for her hands, his gaze unwavering. "I want us to be a family, officially. You and Liam mean everything to me, and I want to spend the rest of my life showing you how much you're loved." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes, her heart full of emotions she hadn't dared to dream of. She had spent years building walls around her heart, shielding herself and her son from further pain. But with Alex, those walls had slowly crumbled. Time and again, he had shown her that he was there for them, not out of duty, but out of genuine love. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I want that too." Their wedding was a small, intimate celebration at a picturesque vineyard, surrounded by close friends and family. Liam, now a spirited 5-year-old, proudly served as the ring bearer. As Sarah walked down the aisle, a profound sense of peace washed over her, one she hadn't thought possible. She had endured the storm and emerged stronger, stepping into a new chapter filled with love and promise. The ceremony was breathtaking, but the moment etched deepest in Sarah's memory was Alex's vows. "I promise to honor the strength and grace that brought you here," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion glistening in his eyes. "And to love not just you, but the family you've built with courage and resilience. You've shown me what true beauty is, Sarah, and I'm honored to call you my wife." Life with Alex felt worlds away from the struggles of her past. Together, they seamlessly blended their lives, raising Liam with love and supporting each other's ambitions. Despite her newfound happiness and success, Sarah never forgot the road she had traveled or the sacrifices she had made to get there. Her journey was more than just a story of survival, it became a mission. She founded an organization to support single mothers, offering resources, mentorship, and hope to help them rebuild their lives. By sharing her own story openly, Sarah inspired countless women, knowing that each one she reached was a victory in itself. One afternoon, while scrolling through her phone, a notification caught her attention, an invitation to attend the Golden Globe Awards as Alex's guest. She hesitated for a moment, memories of her past threatening to resurface. But then she smiled, reminded of how far she had come. Her past no longer defined her, it was her rise above it that mattered. The night of the Golden Globe Awards was nothing short of dazzling. Sarah stepped out of the limousine, her arm intertwined with Alex's as cameras flashed in rapid succession. She radiated confidence in a stunning gown, paired with pieces from her own jewelry line. For years, Sarah had watched events like this from a distance, convinced they were part of a world she could never reach. Yet here she was, standing beside her husband, her name now synonymous with strength, resilience, and grace. As reporters flocked to her, Sarah answered their questions with poise, crediting the journey that had shaped her. She spoke passionately about her foundation, her business, and the community that had helped her along the way. Alex chimed in, speaking from the heart about how Sarah's courage and compassion had inspired him, leaving the press hanging on their every word. But the most unexpected moment of the night wasn't on the red carpet. In a modest apartment far from the glitz and glamour, Michael sat alone. The once sleek, modern home he had shared with Sarah was long gone, along with the promising career he had squandered through reckless decisions. Watching the award ceremony on TV, he froze as Sarah appeared on screen. She was radiant, a picture of success and grace. For the first time, Michael truly understood what he had lost. Than he could admit. Flipping through the channels, Michael stopped when a familiar face appeared on the screen. It was a live broadcast of an award ceremony, and there she was, Sarah, stepping onto the stage. Her image was breathtaking, almost surreal. "Is that her?" he muttered, leaning closer to the television. It was. The woman he had dismissed, belittled, and abandoned years ago was now unrecognizable. She radiated confidence and success, her presence commanding the room. As the camera zoomed in, Michael's breath caught at something even more shocking: the sparkle of her wedding ring and the man standing beside her. "That's Alex Reed," he whispered, his voice barely audible, disbelief flooding his mind. Sarah wasn't just thriving, she was married to one of the most famous actors in the world. Memories of the past rushed back, the night he kicked her out, the arguments, the smug certainty that he had made the right decision. He had convinced himself she would fail without him, that she would come crawling back. But here she was, proving him wrong in ways he could never have imagined. The evening's highlight came when Alex was called to the stage to present an award. Adjusting the microphone, he glanced at Sarah, seated in the front row, a warm smile on his face. "Before I announce the winner," Alex began, his voice steady and filled with emotion, "I want to take a moment to acknowledge someone who inspires me every single day. My wife, Sarah, is not only the love of my life, but also a beacon of strength and resilience. Her journey from adversity to triumph is a testament to the power of perseverance. She reminds me, and everyone she touches, that no matter how difficult life gets, we can rise above it." The crowd erupted in applause as the camera panned to Sarah, who smiled graciously, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Michael sat frozen, the weight of regret pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. He had once been the center of Sarah's world, and now he was nothing more than a forgotten chapter in her story. A story she had rewritten with determination and grit. Back at the award ceremony, Sarah was approached by a reporter for a backstage interview. "Sarah, your story has touched so many people. What advice would you give to someone facing what you did all those years ago?" She paused, her thoughts drifting back to the younger version of herself, standing alone in the rain with a suitcase and a fragile sliver of hope. "Never let someone else define your worth," she said with quiet confidence. "When I was at my lowest, I realized the only person who could change my life was me. And while the journey was hard, every step brought me closer to the life I was meant to live." To anyone out there who feels like giving up, don't. You are stronger than you know. The reporter smiled, visibly moved. "And what would you say to those who underestimated you?" Sarah's lips curved into a knowing smile. "The best response is to live your life fully. Success is the loudest answer." Meanwhile, Michael was consumed by bitterness and regret. Searching for Sarah's social media profiles, he found post after post celebrating her achievements, her happy family, and her philanthropic work. Each picture, each headline felt like a slap in the face, a relentless reminder of the life he had discarded. In desperation, he sent her a message, an apology, an attempt to reconnect. But the message went unanswered, leaving Michael to sit with the deafening silence that underscored his irrelevance in her life. Months later, Sarah hosted a gala for her foundation, drawing celebrities, philanthropists, and media attention. As she stood on stage, introducing the evening's program, her gaze swept over the audience. That's when she spotted him, Michael. She hadn't invited him, but somehow he had managed to attend. Their eyes met briefly, and for a fleeting moment, she felt the sting of the pain she had once carried. But then her eyes moved to Alex, smiling proudly at her from the front row, and to Liam, excitedly showing off a drawing to a guest. Her heart swelled with gratitude for the life she had built. After the event, Michael approached her, his posture subdued, his voice uncertain. "Sarah," he began awkwardly, "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything." Sarah looked at him, her expression calm but distant. "I appreciate the apology, Michael," she said evenly, "but I've moved on." Turning away, she walked toward Alex and Liam, her steps light and confident. In that moment, Sarah felt nothing but peace. Michael called after her, his voice filled with desperation. "Sarah, you're incredible. I was such a fool to let you go." She paused, glancing back over her shoulder. Her expression was calm, her voice steady. "Yes, you were. But those struggles made me who I am today. So, in a way, I should thank you." With those words, she turned and walked away, leaving Michael standing in silence, forever in the shadow of the woman he had once underestimated. Sarah's life continued to blossom, filled with love, purpose, and the joy of seeing her son thrive. Over the years, she became a beacon of hope and resilience, a living reminder that even in the darkest of times, determination and inner strength could pave the way to a brighter future. For Michael, though, the memory of that red carpet moment and the realization of what he had lost became an enduring symbol of regret and the cost of his own short-sighted choices. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales every day. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.